Once you've got the baker's happy sequence done, it's time to make a second one. We'll use this one for when the player gives him an item about which he's not terribly thrilled. So in the asset browser, go to your sequences group, and you can just right click on the sequence that we made and choose duplicate. And we'll rename this one seq underscore baker underscore sad. These are very dramatic names. I'm going to double click that to open that sequence. And of course, it's exactly the same as the one we had open before. So doing this just lets us save a bit of time. We already have some elements that we can use, such as the white solids that fade in, the broadcast messages. So we can get rid of stuff that we don't want, keep those, and then we don't have to start from scratch. Keep in mind too that you can always make this sequence longer or shorter depending on what you want. But what we need to do now is design another sequence. So I'm going to get rid of things that I don't already want. I'm actually just going to click on the track in the track panel and press the delete key. Or in some cases, you can say right click on a track and delete that as well. And we're going to get rid of these Baker assets. I'm going to start by putting in a new background, and I'll show you a really cool little trick. So I'm going to open up the sprites group in the asset browser, go to sequences, and we've got these two other background effects. I'll choose the red one. And I'm just going to click on that, drag that down in the track panel order. And you can see it just plays a simple animation. I'm going to grab the asset key and move it to the same spot that the previous background started. And I'm just going to drag it out to match the length of the previous background sequence. Now I want this background to fade in the same way that the other one did. But I don't really want to go through all the work of putting in those keyframes again. So let's go to the track with the original background. And let's open that up so we can see the color multiply track parameter track that we put before. And we can just select these keyframes and hit Control C or Command C on a Mac. And then click on the asset key for our new background. And then hit Control V or Command V on a Mac. And you'll see it's pasted the keyframes and added that parameter track automatically. So we don't even need to do all that work. Now notice that it put those keyframes where I had my playhead. So if I don't like where those are, I can click those keyframes and move them along the timeline like that. And also notice that I'm doing one other thing. If you need to access something on your in your track panel list here and just want to see one asset, not another, you can always click the visibility toggle here so I can hide that one or show it. And you can have as many sequences or as many assets in the sequence as you want. They could all be hidden if you needed to do that for some reason. But it also lets you just play around and get used to testing things. So I'm going to delete the original background because I don't need that anymore. Just going to hit the delete key. And that's a really easy way to add that without having to do any more work. So this is our sad sequence. So we want to add in some special animations for the baker not having a great day. So you can design this however you want, but let's go into the sprites group in the asset browser. Let's go into NPCs and let's go into that baker folder. And we have SPR Baker Angry and we have SPR Baker Sad. You can use one or the other. You can use both. I'll just drag them in so we can see what they look like. Very dramatic. So if you scrub through, you can see in one he's kind of ranting and raving. The other one he's having a real bad day. So you can use whichever one you want or both to design a sequence. So I'm just going to play around here and make something funny. Let's have our sad baker slide in from the left. We'll probably make him just really large just for fun. I've got automatically record changes turned off at the moment just because I want to do something very specific. So I'm just going to move that asset over here. And I'm going to grab the corner widget. Try to scale him up. Maybe this angle works better. There we go. I'm just going to hold shift to scale him in proportion. Let's do that. It looks like I've got a keyframe here. So This is going to happen to you all the time as you're just playing around and getting used to things. Don't worry about it. If you notice that you've got a stray keyframe that you forgot, you can always just delete it and adjust. It's kind of all about having fun. So I'm going to move him at this point, and I just want to have him slowly fade from the left to the right. And we're going to add in a couple other sprites for effects, just to be silly. So I'll record a keyframe at this position, and then just to make things easy, I'm going to click the automatically record changes button, so I don't have to worry about doing something manually. And let's just move our playhead to about there. And then I'm going to click on this gizmo here just to move him on the x-axis all the way over to the right-hand side. You'll see a keyframe has been recorded, which is great. And if I play back, he's just sliding across. So nothing too fancy. I'm just going to turn that automatically record keyframes option off again, and I'm going to go into my asset browser and find some of the other assets that we've included. So there's this one called shock lines, sweat bubbles. What looks good? Let's do the grumble one. SPR emote grumble. I'm just going to place a few of these at spots around the canvas. So I'm going to drag this one in. And I'm going to just make this a little larger. Like that. So I just want these to sort of pop in at certain spots as he's passing by. Why? I don't know, because it looks fun. So let's do something a little fancy. Let's move the playhead here. Let's add a scale parameter track. Let's add a keyframe. I'm just going to move this a couple frames over to the right. I'm going to add another scale keyframe, and I'm going to just manually change this value. I'm going to select that keyframe first, and I'm going to make this say 200 for both. Sort of just scales in. And then I'm going to just move the playhead just a frame or two after that other keyframe, and I'm going to record a third keyframe for the scale parameter track. I'm going to select that new keyframe, and I'm going to change this value down to 180% for both. And the idea is this makes a little popping effect. It's very subtle. In fact, you know what? Let's change this first keyframe to, say, 80. And the animation will be a little more dramatic. That's better. Pop. So the other thing I'm going to do is I want to add a color multiply parameter track, because I just want to do a quick fade in and out on this. And I'm going to do this once, and then duplicate this track a couple times so I can place a couple other variations of this around the canvas. So I'll click on the add parameter track, choose color multiply, and I'm going to record a keyframe at the very first frame where this asset key begins. And like we've done before, I'm going to click on the swatch so I can access the color picker and choose set the alpha. Oh, but I forgot to do something. I need to always select the keyframe. You'll probably do that a lot. So I'm changing the alpha to 0, clicking OK. Now that's transparent. And then I'm just going to move the playhead a few frames ahead, record another color multiply keyframe, click on the swatch. Forgot to choose the keyframe again. Let's do that. Then set the alpha, then hit OK. And you can see that it fades in. Now, if I want to cheat, here's what I can do. You can copy this key by right-clicking on a keyframe and choose Copy Key. Then I can just go to another spot on the timeline, right-click, paste the key, and then I can go ahead and right-click on that very first keyframe we made and copy that one, and then paste that one a little bit further down. Right click and choose paste. Get rid of that one there. And I've basically copied these 0% color multiply, the 100%, the 100%, the 0%. So I have a fade in and out. So you can see by copying things and pasting them, you can just kind of get around duplicating a lot of work. So that's good. Now let's go ahead and just duplicate this track. And we'll pick a random spot here on the timeline and we'll just move that asset key. But remember, if you just try to move an asset key, it's not going to grab the keyframes. So you always want to option click on a Mac or alt click on a PC, and that will drag everything all at once. So we don't have a position parameter track set, so I can just go ahead and reposition this, and it will affect the entire asset key. And let's put this one down here. I like where the second instance of this emote is in the timeline, but not where it is on the canvas. So I'm going to move this around. But I just want to show you something in case you run into some trouble. I'm going to click on the instance on the canvas and just move it to a new spot. Now, if you see you're getting that line that says it's interpolating two different keyframes, but you don't see anything going on with a position parameter track, you may just have to make an adjustment. So I don't actually want this to animate from this spot to this spot. I just want it to exist in that spot all the time. So clearly my asset key is recorded a position. I can't see that right now. So what I'm going to do is click on the asset key and in the track panel, click on the add parameter track button, choose position, and you can see that position keyframe has actually been recorded. I don't want that. I actually am just going to click on that and delete it. In fact, I don't want that anywhere. So I deleted that too. And now I'm just going to drag this around the canvas. And there should be no keyframe for the position parameter track. So if you just run into any trouble or something is behaving not quite as you expect, you can always just show that parameter track and make sure that there isn't a keyframe somewhere that you weren't aware of. So we've got one of these here, one of these here, and I'm going to duplicate this one more time by right-clicking on the track panel. And choosing duplicate track. And I'm going to alt click on that entire asset key and then just drag that over here. Now it's got a position keyframe. I'm just going to delete that keyframe. And I just want to make a new one of these, say right there. And now I'll just play my sequence again to see what's going on. Something tells me what you've created is a lot more interesting than what I've created, but you get the idea. You can duplicate things, move them around, adjust their keyframes, copy keyframes, paste them, and just have fun playing around with these sequences. Next, I want to add a music track, just like we did with the happy sequence. So in our asset browser, you can go to the sounds group. And of course, we have 3 bad BGMs as well as 3 good BGMs. Because I chose good 1 for the happy track, I'm going to choose bad 1 for this sad track. And I'll just drag that into the track panel. Now my playhead was sort of in the middle of our sequence, so that's where it started the music. So I'm just going to drag that asset key to the beginning because I believe that's where I want it to start. And let's just play this in here. Very dramatic. So once again, if you want to adjust the volume, we can do that. So I will do that now. I'm going to click on that asset key, click on the add parameter track button and choose volume. Going to create a new keyframe. Oh, I did that wrong. You can see I have my playhead at the wrong spot. So let's move that playhead to the beginning. Add a keyframe there, select that keyframe and change the value to, let's say, 30. I'm going to play that again. I like that better. And again, my sequence is pretty short. If I wanted to hear more of the music, I would make a longer one, which is totally fine. So around here, I'm going to add another volume keyframe. And then I'm going to just move my playhead down to the end. Add a third volume keyframe. Select that keyframe. And then change its value down to 0. And we should hear that fade out. So again, if you want to create a longer fade, you just make sure there's more distance between those keyframes. And that's that. Just play around, have fun, get your music in, get whatever visual effects you want in, or you could make the baker sort of pop in at different sizes from different places. You could fade in, fade out, whatever you like. You've got all those tools now. But just have fun creating this sad baker sequence. And once you're ready, make sure to save your project and let's move on.